Hello everyone, and welcome to the Trending in My Life podcast, episode 23. Disasters happen. This week, I want to talk about when it all goes wrong. All the instances where no matter what you do, how well you plan, it just doesn't work out. How you can choose to react and cope with it afterwards. So let's start with a story about my life. Yesterday, I went out to film in central London. Currently, the crime rate for phone snatchers is very high. They ride bicycles or scooters and snatch phones out of people's hands who are stood on the footpath. So I decided not to film on my phone, but to use my GoPro, because it's tiny enough that my whole hand wraps around it. So my reasoning was it's less obvious or easy to snatch. I'd seen online that there's a penguins parade trail to follow in and around Fleet Street, which is slightly away from the main tourist attractions and shopping area in Central, so I felt okay about filming there. The trail had 12 penguin sculptures that had artist designs on their front and back to make them look different. I had my GoPro in my coat inside pocket for security. Then I'd whip it out quickly, film and walk around each penguin and on to the next. In the end, I filmed 10 out of the 12 and the other 2 were a longer walk that I just didn't want to do. Now, although I've had my GoPro over a month now, I rarely view footage until I'm back home. And the screen is tiny, so I generally point it in the general direction of what I'm filming, but don't precisely check out the edges, which is why I ended up chopping the heads off or the beaks off some of the penguins. So as this big groan of, oh no, I messed up, didn't get it right, it's all gone wrong from me, when I uploaded the footage onto my laptop last night. I felt it was all ruined and unusable and had taken half a day with travelling in and out of Central. It all felt like a complete waste of time, and it was footage that I want to use in my next video. My reaction was disappointment, beating myself up with thoughts of why didn't I check each penguin was in the frame properly. I need to practice and get better at the GoPro, and I can't go back for a do-over because of the risk of getting my GoPro snatched. It just wasn't worth it. I'm sharing this as an example of how when things go wrong we react with disappointment, self-blaming and regret. Now it's a day later and I've sat and viewed the footage again and been kinder to myself because I can see that I was trying to focus on the artist's design on the front and back of the penguins to highlight what made each identically shaped penguin different. There were quite a few other people following the trail, and I was stepping in, taking my turn to film and moving on to the next to allow others waiting to step up. The first 2 I recorded definitely chopped off penguins' heads, and a couple chopped off penguins' beaks that were pointed skywards, so they were at the top of the frame. But I realised I had overreacted on my first viewing last night, and the footage is usable and will be in Friday's video. That will be in the same week as this podcast's released, so check that out. My takeaway from that experience is I still have a lot to learn when I'm filming, and sometimes if you wait a day, what felt like a disaster initially can feel not as bad. At this festive time of year, potential for disasters is everywhere. The outfit for the Christmas party that ripped when you were bending down, quickly leaving you sobbing in the bathroom and leaving early. The gift you spent days choosing, only to be told by a friend or relative they'd picked exactly the same thing and couldn't wait to give it. The ring and proposal you had planned, only to have your partner tell you things aren't working out and they end the relationship before you've even had a chance to say the words you've been practicing. The travel plans that all went wrong when your car broke down and needed expensive parts you couldn't afford and can't get fixed in time anyway. The trains or planes that get cancelled due to bad weather. Yes, the potential for it all going terribly wrong is everywhere. So how can we mentally and emotionally prepare ourselves for that? Truth is, your initial reaction will be completely beyond your control, so I'm not going to tell you that you can do anything about that because it would be unrealistic. I'm only going to say that it's probably a rite of passage that you need to allow those emotions to be released, sobbing into your pillow, drowning your sorrows, waking up surrounded by crushed beer cans and cold pizza or empty cartons of ice cream. How soon we're able to pick ourselves up and move on is the key. Some disasters in our lives take longer than others to find the will to cope with. Some you can mitigate, find a way to part solve or feel you can live with and make do. Lower your expectations, see a different life path you might one day be able to take. You get dressed for an interview in the suit you bought especially to impress. You'd rehearsed the answers to all the possible questions, and you had the confidence to really sell yourself. A sudden downpour that wasn't forecast leaves you soaked to the skin, looking like a drowned rat. You see your reflection in a window and your confidence evaporates. What are you going to do? One person will still go to that interview and apologise for their appearance, but say they really feel they would still like to continue. Maybe their answers to questions weren't as spot on as they'd have liked. Maybe they were conscious of the puddle around their chair as their clothes dripped during the interview. Or maybe, after all that, they didn't get the job, but they showed everyone that nothing stops them, that they see things through, and weather happens. But one thing's for sure, they can walk out with their head held high and with the confidence to face another day. Now another person might react totally differently and call the place where they were being interviewed and say, "Sorry, I can't make it. It's a family emergency." They use an excuse, but also feel the deluge of rain on them was a sign that the job wasn't meant for them. And there'll be another interview, or maybe it makes them rethink whether they really wanted to try a new career direction. And this was a catalyst, and they move on to find a different path, all from that one downpour. Someone else might react in the "why me, why now" way and be miserable for days, thinking they never have any good luck. They're just not going to bother anymore. How we react to a situation, circumstances we can't control, is all about our character, personality, ability to make an experience a winner or not. We can lose out on the day, but gain the ability to cope the next time. And that strength of character can see us through many other life experiences to come. The day after or the week after, when wallowing in self-pity inevitably has to stop, then you can begin the process of feeling you've learnt a lesson. And next time, you'll carry a golf umbrella or one of those lightweight clear mats to keep you dry, just in case. Or start saving now for a taxi cab to the next interview that can drop you right outside the door. I'm not saying any of these reactions to the original downpour is wrong. You feel what you feel, and in each case the person did what they needed to do, and that in itself was right for them. When things go wrong, whether we feel it's a total disaster or a blip in our lives, we cope with the tools we have, according to our history, our life experience to that point. I think the one thing to take away is how we move on from it a day or two or even a week later. Try always to find a positive spin on it. It was just not meant to be, and something better will come along, something that was meant just for you. The festive season, with Christmas followed by New Year, does strange things to people in relationships, and indeed single. It's that once a year works Christmas party approaching, when some partners are taking a long hard look at their better half and imagining they could do better. Suddenly, they're on a countdown to pick a moment to dump this partner, just so they can be free and single to go to that party and spend the night with someone new. On the reverse of that, there are some singles desperately searching for anyone to take to that Christmas party so that they're not alone when they walk in the door. Both of those scenarios are like a disaster waiting to happen. The one dumping their partner out of the blue and dressing super cool on the pull, hasn't considered they might end up not pulling anyone at the party. The one they've been flirting with at work might turn them down flat or turn up with their own partner already. Going home alone with a lot of regret isn't how the dumper saw their evening panning out. The single person who takes someone they barely know can regret that choice too, when he or she turns out to be very loud, embarrassing, or worse, is flirting with everyone in sight. However, there's this seasonal madness that those people felt driven to make changes before going to that Christmas party. New Year's Eve is also a high-pressure evening of parties and celebrations, which drives people to desperately seek a partner between Christmas and New Year because they feel they absolutely have to have someone to kiss at midnight. It takes over their life as the days go by to that midnight countdown. This is how people end up together, kissing someone they only met a couple of days before and pretending they're destined to be together forever. On the night it feels like you have to say it, and you're almost convinced yourself of it too. Then with a hangover on New Year's Day, you can't remember the other person's name. You're ghosting their texts and calls and feeling it was a disastrous mistake. It's not a great way to start the new year. But before you know it, the world will be exercise obsessed and everyone you know is going to a gym and talking about the latest health trends. All thoughts of needing a partner just to attend an event gone from your mind, and you're actually more likely to meet someone now that the pressure's off and you can be more yourself. The person you hold a door open for at a cafe, in front of you in the takeaway, or running or jogging down the street at the same time as you may turn out to be a much better match, and you start by just saying hi and aren't trying to force anything to happen. You're able to take your time and build a friendship that may or may not lead to something more, so that next Christmas or New Year's Eve party you already have the perfect person to invite. Sometimes though, disasters are just born out of poor timing. You've won a vacation to Hawaii, but the friend you intended to invite says they have a fear of flying. Oh, disaster. You so wanted to share with them. You give a partner a gift of a cruise, only to discover they are violently seasick on the first day. You buy a puppy or take it home being sure your partner will be overjoyed to take your relationship to the next level, except they're allergic to dogs, but it had never cropped up in conversation, and now they can't stop sneezing. Disaster. Clearly the puppy has to go, and it looks so adorable too. Once you've gone through that, you'll probably never plan a surprise gift or trip ever again. Sad but true. Often our history, our life experience, affects our future plans. Of course, life can throw up any kind of disaster, like losing your job out of the blue, a partner asks for a divorce, dealing with the loss of a relative. These are big life changes that can feel like your world is ending and nothing will ever be the same. You wish it hadn't happened. Your heart aches, you feel empty, even numb. Try not to allow this black hole to swallow you up. Keep a tight hold on the glimmer of hope and every day work on finding one happy thought to see you through to the next day and the next day and the one after that. You have an enormous strength inside you to keep going and carry you through what feels like an overwhelming disaster at the time. You may not believe me, but it's true. As human beings, we're capable of so much more than we realise. Time helps, one step at a time, one day at a time. Then on one of those days, someone says something to you, a kind word, or you see something that catches your eye and you half smile, and it's a reminder of better times. And gradually you begin to see a better way, and the next day or next week you begin to see the positive feelings creeping back into your life, and that doom and gloom disastrous happening starts to fade, and you begin to move on and see yourself and your life getting better. As we get older, and some would say wiser, I think we deal with disasters easier. We have more life experience to draw from. It's not the end of the world. There's always next year. You win some, you lose some. Everything happens for a reason. And we forgive ourselves more easily. When we know better, we do better. Tomorrow's another day. We all make mistakes. Onwards and upwards. Like everyone, it's not the initial reaction when things happen, but we move on to realising through our past experiences that things will get better. Things happen, many beyond our control, and our inner tools to help us cope are the smile we can put on our face, our never give up spirit, and that we pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and carry on. You can do that even if at the time it feels impossible. You absolutely can. Believe in yourself, your ability to overcome anything life throws at you. You're awesome, amazing, incredible. You're you, and there's no one like you. Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and come back next time. Bye for now.